Yo guys, welcome to the Zelda fiction. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto got trained by Fem Kyubi and had multi-bloodlines? Part 1. Huge shout out to Ezras Hargrave for this story. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. October 10th. That day was a celebration in the Leaf Village for the day the Yondaime Hokage defeated the Kyuubi No Kitsune. The people rejoiced at the defeat of the beast, but they also mourned at the loss of their loved ones. But there was one person who hated October 10th, even though it was his birthday. He hated it with a fierce passion. It was a young boy, with golden blonde hair, sea blue eyes and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. The boy was Uzumaki Naruto. Ever since he could remember, his life had been unfair. He had been hardly fed at the orphanage and kicked out upon reaching the age of 4. He was 5 now and had been living on the streets for a year. He was currently hiding in an alleyway, shivering. So cold, the young blonde thought. He heard the villagers screaming as they searched for him. Why won't they let me be? I've done nothing wrong. There's down here. One of them yelled to the rest, catching sight of him. Let's finish what the Yondaime started. Another called. They charged into the alley and Naruto did the only thing he could. Run. He turned and ran as fast as his small legs could carry him, but a ninja and the mob didn't like that. Oten. Numa, at those words the earth in front of Naruto became muddy, causing the young Uzumaki to slip and fall face first in the mud. The villagers caught up and began to beat him up. He screamed in pain. Please. Stop. It hurts. He screamed. It hurt us to watch our families get killed by you. One of them yelled at him, nailing him in the stomach with a kick, causing Naruto to cough up blood. I never hurt any of your families. Honest. He tried to plead with them, but they wouldn't have any of it. Let's burn him alive. A civilian yelled out, getting shouts of agreement from the others. A ninja stepped forward with a grin. This is for my brother, you bastard. He made hand signs. Kaiten. Nkakik no jutsu, from his mouth burst forth a large fireball. It engulfed Naruto, who screamed in absolute pain and anguish. He fell to the ground as the screaming stopped. The crowd cheered for a few moments. Several Anbu in hiding came out of the shadows, surrounding Naruto, who was breathing shallowly. The one in the dog mask Inu glared at the mob. What do you fools think you are doing? You have assaulted a child for no reason, and you, Chunin, how dare you? We were just finishing off the demon. A civilian yelled, causing the rest of the mob to yell in agreement. Inu looked at them coldly. For breaking the law of the Sandaime, you are all hereby sentenced to death. He made hand signs as fast as lightning, and lightning crackled in his hand. Rakiri. He sliced through every civilian and ninja there in a matter of moments. He went towards Naruto and picked him up. All of you go inform Hokage-sama of what has happened here. I shall take Naruto to the hospital. Hi. They all disappeared, besides one. This Anbu wore a cat mask and had long purple hair. Will he be alright, Inu-senpai? She asked, worry evident in her voice. I don't know, but I don't want to know what will happen if I take any longer. Inu told her as he used a shushin to get to the hospital. One who shapes the future. Naruto's mindscape. Naruto sat up in what looked like a large pool of dirty water. He stood, shaking, as he looked at what appeared to be a large gate. Where am I? He whispered. He looked around where he was. On the walls were several strange symbols, seals. Naruto thought to himself, the Hokage having shown some seals to the young Uzumaki a few times, but the scariest and biggest part was the gate in front of Naruto. It was huge, with several bronze gold bars before him. In the middle of the bars was a piece of paper with the kanji for seal. Behind the gate came a low growl. So my jailer has finally graced me with his presence. A large eye opened, vermilion in color and slitted. You came here much sooner than I was expecting. I didn't think you would be here for another few years. Said blonde fell on his face and stared with wide eyes at the eye. Slowly his sight adjusted to see into the darkness and saw 9 tails waving behind the beast. You're the Kyuubi No Kitsune. The demon chuckled. Well, you aren't as dumb as I thought you would be. But how the Yondaime killed you? Naruto screamed at it. Kyuubi ordered him. Do not speak of that damn ninja. She stood, her tails waving wildly behind it. It is because of him I am stuck in this damn cage. Wait, did he seal you inside me? The demon let out a chuckle without humor. So you figured it out. That's right, that mere ninja could not hope to defeat me, so he sealed me within you. At this Naruto fell to his knees, tears falling. He held his head and the Kyuubi's look became one of sadness. Why me? Why does this have to happen to me? Kyuubi was silent for a long time before she spoke again. Look Gaki, both of us seem to have gotten the short end of the stick. Nevertheless, I am willing to help you out. Naruto looked at Kyuubi confused, tears still in his eyes. Huh? What is your dream, Gaki? Naruto looked at Kyuubi before closing his eyes, a small smile appearing on his face. I want to create peace. I want a world where children can sleep without worry of being attacked or losing family. A world where parents don't need to fight and can spend time with their kids, a world where everyone is always happy. Kyuubi's eyes widened as, just for a moment, she saw the silhouette of another person appear behind Naruto. A relatively old man with silver hair, growing to look like two horns, wearing a white cloak with 9 Megatama design on the back, wearing a necklace with 9 Megatama, and having purple eyes with a ripple pattern. Old man, the nine-tailed demon thought. And then, for one of the first times in her life, the Kyuubi No Kitsune did something nobody thought would happen. She smiled. That is a good dream, Gaki. Which is why I have an offer for you. Naruto looked at the Biju. What offer? Become my student. Naruto gasped. I will train you to become the most powerful being to walk this earth. After all, I can't have a weak host after all. What do you get out of this? Naruto asked warily. All I want is a promise. Naruto waited. You see, I didn't attack Konoha of my own free will, I was controlled by an uchiha. Naruto's eyes widened. Kyuubi didn't attack Konoha on purpose. It was controlled. I want you to find that damn Madara and bring him to justice. Naruto nodded. I promise. I will find Madara Uchiha and bring him to justice. What's your name? Kyuubi blinked, surprised Naruto could figure out Kyuubi wasn't her name so quickly. My name is Kurama, the 9th Biju. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto declared to her loudly. I'm gonna be Hokage, Dadabeo. Kurama grinned. Alright Gaki. We begin your training tomorrow. But you have to do exactly as I say in or out of training, understood? Yes, Kurama-sensei. Naruto saluted the fox. I've finished healing you outside. Time to wake up Gaki. Naruto nodded as he felt a pull. He let the feeling take him as he left the Biju alone. I may have found him, old man, Kurama whispered as he lay down. I will raise him upright as if he were my own son, and then Kurama shrunk in size until she had a new look. She spoke in a more feminine voice. I look forward to training you, Naruto-kun. One who shapes the future. Konoha Hospital. The Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen, stood over Naruto's hospital bed the following day with a worried look. At his side stood Inu. Inu, why didn't you do anything sooner? Forgive us, Hokage-sama, Inu apologized. We lost track of Naruto, he is far too good at stealth for his own good. Hiruzen nodded. We will have to be sure this doesn't happen again. I want you to keep an extra close eye on Naruto from now on. Hi, Hokage-sama. Inu agreed before disappearing in a shushin. Hiruzen sighed sadly. He was regretting even telling the civilian council about Naruto being a Jinchuriki and was furious with the orphanage as well. He had gone to visit Naruto several times over the last few months, but he wasn't at the orphanage. They told him that Naruto simply went to the park whenever he was there. He was furious with himself and the civilian council. He was snapped out of his thoughts by an awakening Uzumaki Naruto. He groaned as he sat up, holding his head slightly. His blue eyes scanned the room until they focused on his grandfather figure. Jiji. He smiled kindly. Hello Naruto-kun, how are you? Naruto gained a sour face. Is that a sick joke? He asked in a cold tone, which caused the aged Hokage to flinch. Why didn't you tell me, Jiji? Tell you what, Naruto-kun? He tried to shrug it off. But what Naruto said next gave him a shock. Why didn't you tell me I had a demon sealed in my stomach? He snapped. I'm not that bad, Gaki, Kurama said to Naruto, surprising the blonde. Kurama-sensei, Naruto yelled. Naruto-kun, who is Kurama? Hiruzen asked, confused. Tell him who I am, Gaki, he should know I'm training you. Naruto nodded and explained to the Sandaime about how Kurama was the Kyuubi and how it was Madara Uchiha that had controlled the 9-tailed Biju to attack the village. He also explained how Kurama was going to be his sensei. Naruto-kun, how can you trust the Biju so quickly? The Hokage asked with worry. What if it is tricking you? I am not in it. I am a woman. Kurama growled. Naruto didn't show any surprise at this. Kurama-sensei isn't an Itachi. Kurama-sensei is a woman. The Sandaime nearly jumped in shock. The Kyuubi is female. Naruto nodded. And I can trust her because she has been honest with me and offered me more than anyone else has. Hiruzen winced. Naruto, are you sure Kurama-sari is trustworthy? Naruto nodded without hesitation. I trust Kurama-sensei with my life. The Hokage nodded. Then I grant you permission to use the Hokage personal training grounds. Naruto's eyes shone brightly at this, which warmed the old Hokage's heart. And, though you aren't really allowed to go to the library until you are a ninja, he took out a card and handed it to Naruto. I will make an exception. This card will allow you to get into the library. If the librarian tries to question you, just show this card. Arigato, Hokage Jiji. Naruto smiled brightly. Hiruzen patted Naruto's head. You are welcome, Naruto-kun. Now, if you excuse me, I have to get to paperwork. He turned to leave. Naruto-kun, I know how to beat the paperwork, just tell him to use Kage Bushins. Kurama told him. Jiji. Naruto called out. Why don't you just use Kage Bushin to do the paperwork? The aged Hokage froze, turning to look at the blonde Uzumaki with wide eyes. Naruto-kun, you are a genius. He grabbed the blonde and lifted him into the air, which Naruto liked a great deal. The bane of the Kages is solved. Victory is mine at last. Paperwork. He waved him around before putting him back on the hospital bed. He immediately made several clones to do the paperwork. I owe you one, Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded before Kurama told him to make up on that deal. In that case, Gigi, could you take me shopping? A lot of the stores kick me out, so I can't really buy anything. Hiruzen gained an angry look before nodding. Well then, Naruto-kun, show me these stores that have wronged you and let's see if we can't change their minds on how they treat you. I think the old man and I will get along great. Kurama announced with a grin. The tone used sent a shiver down Naruto's spine as he and the Hokage left the hospital. One who shapes the future. The two walked through the village, all the villagers unable to give hateful glares or attack Naruto, while the age-old Hokage was there. Naruto grinned at the villagers' outrage, while Kurama broke out into giggle fits. What should we start with, Kurama-sensei? Naruto asked. Start with weapons and clothing. I'll use my chakra to modify the clothing so it grows with you. Kurama ordered. Naruto looked to the Hokage. Hey Gigi, can we start with my ninja supplies? Hiruzen nodded. Of course, Naruto-kun. He led Naruto to Higurashi Ninja Supplies. As they walked in, the owner gave them both a kind smile. He was about 6 feet tall. He had chocolate brown hair and green eyes. He wore black pants, tradition ninja sandals and a white shirt. Welcome Hokage-sama, how can I help you today? He asked in a deep voice. It's not me you are helping today, it is this young boy. He patted Naruto on the back, who looked around nervously. Hello. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Nice to meet you, sir. He stuttered, slightly afraid. This caused the man at the desk to clench his fists in anger, as well as the aged Hokage. To think that this boy was afraid of meeting new people was ridiculous. Hiruzen promised to send a lot of people to Ibiki. No need to be afraid of me, Naruto-kun, I do not hate you unlike the foolish civilians. You are always welcome in my shop. He said kindly. My name is Jin Higurashi. You may call me Jin. It's nice to meet you, Jin-san. Naruto said politely, a bit calmer. Take your time looking around, Naruto-kun, Jin told him, and Naruto nodded. What do I need, Kurama-sensei? Naruto asked the vixen. 300 shuriken, 150 kunai, 100 explosive tags. Kurama told the blonde. If anything else catches your eye, let me know, and I'll tell you if you can get it or not. Naruto nodded and began to look around the shop. He stopped upon seeing two objects side by side. The first was a pair of gauntlets. The rims were shimmering silver, and the main body was bronze. On the underside of one was a short blade, and the other had a slot area to fit a longer blade. A sword. The object beside the gauntlets was a 28-inch long, shimmering white-bladed katana. The hilt was pitch black, and the guard was silver. Dangling from the hilt was a chain where all three colors combined form a heart, a third on the right white, a third in the middle silver, and a third on the right black. Naruto slowly walked towards them, mesmerized. Naruto. Kurama yelled. Get those. They will be perfect for the Kenjutsu and Taijutsu style I intend to teach you. Naruto nodded before touching the gauntlets. Immediately they shot out and latched onto Naruto's arms, surprising the blonde. Gigi. Naruto called out, surprised. The aged Hokage glanced at him. These gauntlets just latched onto me when I touched them. What's up with that? Jin's eyes widened and he looked. His breath caught in his throat. Those gauntlets. Huh? Naruto looked at Jin. Was I not supposed to touch them? Sorry. It's not that, Naruto-kun, Jin told him. It's just those gauntlets have never been used by anyone ever since we got them. They just bolted away when anyone tried to wear them. Naruto blinked. Oh well, I guess they like me. Naruto grabbed the sword and was surprised. He expected the weapon to be heavy, near impossible for him to pick up. But he was wrong. He lifted the blade with ease, as if he had been doing it all his life. It felt perfect in his hand. Can I get this sword too? It feels right. Hiruzen looked to Naruto before letting out a smile. So on accident Naruto-kun has picked up his mother's sword. Hiruzen thought. Of course you can, Naruto-kun. The Kami no Shinobi told him. Naruto let out a small smile before grabbing some clothes and disappearing into one of the changing rooms. Jin looked at the old Hokage. He is full of surprises, isn't he? Hiruzen smiled. Naruto-kun will surpass us all and be one of the greatest shinobi we have ever seen, perhaps even a good Hokage, once my time is done. Jin snorted. Don't say that, old man, you have plenty of time. Hiruzen smiled. You're too kind, Jin-kun. But Naruto-kun will be Hokage someday. I can see that very clearly. Then I'm in luck. Jin grinned. The possible future 5th Hokage is shopping here. Could be good for business. Hiruzen let out a laugh at that. The laughing ended, however, when Naruto came out the changing rooms, making Jin and Hiruzen gain wide eyes. Naruto looked incredibly good. He wore black Anbu-style pants and black ninja sandals. There were bandages on his right thigh connected to two kunai holster. Attached to the back of his pants was a shuriken pouch. He wore a chainless shirt covered by a blood-red t-shirt. Lifted up on his head, like a pair of sunglasses, was a mask that was clearly a kitsune. Attached to his arms were the gauntlets. He also wore a black glove on his right hand and bandages covered his left. In Hiruzen's eyes, for just an instant, he saw a silhouette behind Naruto. It was a man with familiar spiky blonde-haired man with sky-blue eyes. He had a happy smile on his face, wearing a white cloak with red flames at the bottom. Minato was Hiruzen's only thought. Even Kurama could not help but blush at the look Naruto had now. Despite only being 5, he looked so mature now. He would be a real lady killer in the future. "How do I look?" the blonde asked. Hiruzen smiled. "Very good, Naruto-kun, like a true ninja." Jin nodded in agreement. "Arigato." Naruto smiled. "Oh, and Gigi. Kurama-sensei said that she will be modifying the clothes so that they grow with me, so I don't have to keep buying new sets." The Hokage raised an eyebrow. "She can do that." Naruto nodded. "Who is Kurama?" Jin asked. "Naruto's new sensei," Sarutobi said loosely. Jin nodded in response. "Oh," Kurama said, grabbing her head. "Grab some chakra paper too. Don't forget some sealing paper and ink." Naruto nodded and grabbed it. "Gigi, I'm all ready." The Hokage looked surprised. "Kurama wants you to practice genjutsu." Naruto nodded. "Kurama-sensei says it will help me learn writing really quickly and also reading. Plus it can be really useful in battle if useful, at least that's what she says." Jin nodded. "Your sensei is very smart boy." Hiruzen smiled. "Then we are ready to buy everything, Jin-kun." Jin nodded and looked over everything. "That will be 30,000 yen. 100 yen equals 1 English pound equals 1.71 US dollar. Sarutobi nodded before paying for everything. The two said goodbye to Jin before leaving the store. "What next, Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen asked him. "Can you use chakra gaki?" Kurama asked him. Naruto frowned and motioned for the Sandaime to wait. "No, not yet." Kurama now frowned. "For the next part you need to be able to use chakra. Ask the old man to help." "Gigi," Naruto said. "Can you help me unlock my chakra? I need it for what Kurama-sensei has planned next." He nodded. "To my personal training grounds already, it seems." He and Naruto began to walk through the village, ignoring all the hateful glares Naruto was receiving. "Oh, and Gaki, once you have unlocked your chakra, I intend to give you a partner, like the Inuzuka's dogs," Kurama told him. "What do you mean?" Naruto asked. "I have the ability to create life, as the Rikido Sennin could before me. Well, I cannot do it to his extent," Kurama admitted. "I can only create other foxes. But I can give them certain powers and the ability to communicate with you." Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. "But if you're sealed in me, how will they get out?" "They won't be a part of the seal, so they will literally be able to leap out of you without any risk of damaging the seal." Naruto nodded, but an idea Kurama could not sense was slowly forming in his mind. "Here we are, Naruto-kun," Sarutobi said suddenly. "My personal training grounds." Naruto looked in awe. "Wow." Sarutobi smiled. "This is where my predecessors trained after becoming Hokage. Only they and those they trained with have seen this place." "Does that mean the Yondaime trained here also?" The old man nodded. "Yes. Minato too trained here. He used to train here with Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin, as I had given Jiraiya permission." "Do you know the Yondaime's signature jutsu?" Naruto nodded. "It is here, in this place, that the Hiraishin no Jutsu was born." Naruto looked in even more awe. "Ano Jiji was the Yondaime, my dad." Sarutobi's eyes widened. "How did you know?" "Well, for one, there aren't that many blonde people in Konoha that have blue eyes and blonde hair, besides those people that can look into your mind. The Yondaime was one and I'm another. Secondly, if you were to take away the whisker marks from my face, I would look like the Yondaime as a child, from what I've seen in the pictures. And thirdly, you just told me." Naruto finished. The Hokage's eyes widened before he sighed in defeat. "You are far smarter than you let on, Naruto-kun." Naruto smiled. "Get used to it, Jiji. I intend to pretend to be dumb once I enter the academy, barely passing tests, so that I can surprise everyone when the time comes." Ryzen looked confused. "Why would you do that?" "Gigi, from what I've read in books, what is a shinobi's best friend?" Deception. His eyes widened in surprise. "You devious boy, Naruto-kun." Naruto chuckled. "Ano, did he leave anything for me?" Sarutobi nodded. "Yes, he left you some scrolls containing his original jutsu, ones he finished, and those he did not. He hoped you would finish them in his stead, Naruto-kun." "Do these original jutsu include the Hiraishin?" Sarutobi nodded. "Hi. However, that too is incomplete. It is? Naruto blinked. You will find out when you read his scrolls, Naruto-kun. The blonde nodded. So how do I unlock my chakra Jiji? Sit. Sarutobi told him and Naruto complied. Now I want you to close your eyes, Naruto-kun. Naruto did as he said. Now I want you to search for something, Naruto-kun. A ball of warmth in your stomach. It will be hard to find, but it is there. Tell me once you have found it. Naruto sat there in silence for 20 minutes, which Hiruzen was worried about. For a moment he thought Naruto was one of the rare cases that couldn't use chakra at all. He was snapped out of his thoughts by Naruto. I think I've found it, Jiji, it's really warm and powerful. Hiruzen sighed with relief. Now Naruto-kun, take that ball and bring it to the surface. Naruto nodded and did as instructed. Suddenly, a powerful wave of chakra erupted that nearly sent the old Hokage flying. His eyes widened. So much chakra. And so young. Controlling it will be incredibly difficult, but this is Naruto I am thinking about, so powerful. Then he noticed something odd. He could see Naruto's chakra and it wasn't blue. He heard from the Hyuga and Uchiha chakra was blue. But Naruto's was not. No. It was glistening white. Naruto's eyes snapped open and he stood. I feel so strong, I've never felt like this before. I feel strong, but the feeling is also warm, as if Naruto closed his eyes, a small tear falling down his cheek. As if I'm being hugged. Sarutobi let out a small smile at the blonde. Naruto-kun, you shall truly become one of the greatest shinobi to walk these nations. Well, Naruto-kun, your chakra has been unlocked. Do you need any more help? Naruto waited for Kurama to tell him before responding. Tell him to take you to the library. I'd let you go alone, but I don't want to take any risks. Kurama-sensei says to take Mai to the library, just in case. Naruto told the Hokage. Hiruzen nodded. Very well, Naruto-kun, let's go. One who shapes the future. As they walked, thoughts swarmed in Naruto's head. He closed his eyes, thinking. Eventually, he asked Kurama a question. Kurama-sensei. Yes, Gaki? Am I your only host? Kurama stayed silent for a long time before she answered. No. I had 2 hosts before you, Gaki. Who were they? The first was the Shodaime Hokage's wife. Mito Uzumaki. Uzumaki? Yes. The Uzumaki clan was a powerful clan before they were almost completely wiped out. Oh, okay. Who was your second host? It was Kushina Uzumaki, your mother. His eyes bolted open and widened. My mother. Sarutobi looked at him. What about her? Naruto looked at the Hokage before looking away. Nothing, he went back to his conversation with Kurama. My mother. Yes. Kurama said, a hint of sadness in her voice. Your mother was my host before you. It's why you have your whisker marks. Her voice broke. Naruto, Did she love me? Naruto asked, surprising Kurama. Yes. She told him. I heard her final words when your father was sealing me. They both loved you with all their hearts and deeply regretted they couldn't watch you grow up. Then it's enough for me. Naruto told her. But it's my fault. She screamed. It's because of me you're an orphan. Because of me you never knew a mother's love. Naruto nodded. But you weren't in control of yourself. You couldn't stop yourself. You couldn't tell you would be controlled again. It isn't your fault, it is Madara's. Never forget that. Okay. Here we are, Naruto-kun, Sarutobi cut in before Kurama could respond. Let's go in. Naruto nodded. This is gonna be annoying for me. He muttered quietly as the two walked in. He got a glare from the receptionist, but it ended quickly with Sarutobi there. What books do I need, Kurama-sensei? Every book they have on Kenjutsu, every book on chakra control, and channel your chakra into the chakra paper now. Naruto nodded and pulled out the paper. Hiruzen looked curiously and waited. What happened surprised them, especially Kurama. The paper split into 4 equal pieces. The first became water. The second burned away in blue fire. The third swirled, half of it turning black, until it hovered in the air as a yin-yang symbol. And the fourth and final piece distorted, quivering even though there was no wind, until it swirled and vanished entirely. Naruto frowned. Well, what does that mean? Hiruzen recovered quickly. Those were your affinities to the elements, Naruto-kun. Elements? Yes. Each shinobi has an element or two that they are in tune with. But you are very special, as you have more than that. Hiruzen explained. What are my affinities then? The paper splitting, that was an affinity to wind jutsu. The paper turning to water was a sign for water, a strong water affinity. The burning blue fire. I do not know, I assume a very strong fire affinity. The third piece there. I believe that is a sign for yin-yang release. That is probably the most rare jutsu style, as I have only heard of it in legends. And the final piece, the one that distorted and disappeared. That, I remember clearly, is also rare. It is a sign of space-time ninjutsu. Your father had an affinity to space-time as well, but not nearly as strong as yours is, Naruto-kun. Naruto's eyes sparkled. Gaki, I should probably tell you for your training, we won't really be in the village. Naruto's eyes widened at Kurama's words, and he looked like he was about to cry. What's wrong, Naruto-kun? Sarutobi asked. Kurama-sensei, Naruto sniffs. Says I won't be in the village for my training. The Hokage's eyes widened, but he nodded. But how will you go to the academy when you enroll? Naruto relayed that question to Kurama. I am going to teach you right now very special ninjutsu. It will use a third of your chakra and take 2 gallons of blood from your body. It is called the Kaibushin no Jutsu, blood clone technique. It will not dispel, but when it is killed it will become a pile of blood, or it will become a pile of blood if you allow it to. Naruto nodded. I will be using a special bushin called the Kaibushin. It uses 2 gallons of my blood and a third of my chakra, plus it will not dispel unless it is killed or I allow it to. The Hokage's eyes widened, he had never heard of this technique before. Naruto quickly grabbed all the books he needed, leaving the library quite empty, and he checked them out. The Hokage stored them in a seal for him. When will I see the real you again, Naruto-kun? Hiruzen asked. Naruto looked at him. In 7 years, when I'm 12. I could probably graduate early. But 7 years should be long enough for my training to be complete. Hiruzen nodded. Make your Bishin quickly then. Naruto nodded and made an unfamiliar hand sign. It looked like the dragon hand sign, but the ring's fingers were stuck out as well, connected to the pinky fingers, and the thumbs were apart. He felt Naruto's chakra spike. Kaibushin no Jutsu. Naruto's blood came out his mouth and formed an exact replica of Naruto. Naruto looked to the Hokage. Buy him a bright orange jumpsuit. He will be acting stupid so that he is underestimated. He will pretend to be dumb on purpose, act like an idiot, but he will be perfect until I return. Hiruzen nodded. Goodbye, Naruto-kun, I will see you in 7 years. He tapped a seal on his cloak and some scrolls popped out. These are your father's scrolls on his jutsu. I didn't feel it was safe to just leave them anywhere else, so I kept them with me at all times. He gave them to Naruto before hugging his surrogate grandson, who hugged him back. Goodbye, Jai Hokage-sama. Naruto saluted, smiling at Hiruzen's surprised expression before turning around and leaving quickly. The Hokage sighed and looked to his clone. Hum along, Naruto-kun. He said. Time to get you an apartment. One who shapes the future. Several hours later, Naruto was far from Konoha in a forest. It had been untouched, no sign of any battle or any human being anywhere near there at all. So what should I start with, Kurama-sensei? Naruto asked. Kurama grinned, and though Naruto couldn't see it, he still shivered. Gaki, get ready for 7 years of hellish training. Naruto gulped, but he grinned, the gears of fate beginning to spin as he did. He had only one thought. Bring it on. 7 years have passed since Naruto left Konoha for training. 7 years have passed since his Bushin has taken his place until his return. Because it wasn't really alive, it had no need for eat or sleep, so it worked on chakra control for the benefit of its true person for after it was dispelled. Sarutobi was very kind to him, despite being a clone. He helped him with chakra control, which improved with each passing day. He taught him several Kaiten jutsu for the real Naruto when he returned to Konoha and the Bushin was dispelled. The Bushin did that. He trained. And trained. It was difficult to find him not training sometimes. But days passed and he didn't stop. Eventually, it was September. The day of graduation. Naruto walked straight to school from the training grounds, sighing. The Bushin was tired of needing to keep up this act for so long, it was getting pissed off. Pretending to like the Haruno bitch. Acting like an idiot. Failing the exams on purpose. While goofing off in lessons and playing pranks was fun, it didn't help at all. He sighed and ran into the Hokage. Hey Jiji. He called. Sarutobi looked at him and smiled. Hello Naruto-kun, how are you? The blonde frowned. Want me to be honest? Sarutobi nodded. I'm sick of waiting for the boss to come back. He sighed. 7 years of acting like an idiot, 7 years of training, 7 years of being beaten up by those goddamn villagers. I shouldn't really have emotions, but I feel pity for the boss. I can't really feel the pain, but boss could end for 5 years he was beat up, hated. It makes me wonder how he stayed sane. Hiruzen sighed. Yes, it was one of my many regrets, telling the council Naruto was a Jinchuriki it caused him so much pain. He doesn't blame you, old man, Naruto told him. He can't bring himself to hate any of these people, he loves them too much. Sarutobi beamed with pride. He is a very strong person, he will be the greatest Hokage this village has ever seen. Even stronger than the Shodaime. The Bushin nodded in agreement. Yeah, well, I better get to the academy. Don't want Iruka-sensei to be disappointed in me for being late on the day of graduation. Hiruzen looked at him. Doesn't the original return today? He nodded. God, I hope so, I do not want to be the one to take that goddamn exam. Hiruzen laughed. Well, run along Naruto-kun. Naruto nodded and left for the academy. One who shapes the future. Meanwhile, on the streets of Konoha, someone walked on the streets. He wore black Anbu-style pants with black shinobi sandals. On his right thigh were bandages and a kunai holster. Attached to the back of his pants was a shuriken pouch. Both the holster and pouch were littered with seals on the inside. He wore a chain mesh shirt covered by a blood-red t-shirt. Over his t-shirt, he wore a silver hoodie, a seal on the sleeve. What couldn't be seen was a pair of eyes on the inside of the hoodie, red and slitted. Underneath the sleeves was a pair of gauntlets, bronze with silver rimming. Under one was a short blade, on the underside of the other was a seal. He also wore a pair of black and red gloves, each one with a slitted eye, green in color. Under the hood, though it couldn't be seen, was spiky blonde hair with red tips that reached to the person's shoulders, sky blue eyes, and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. He stood at 5'11", tall for his age. Konoha, eh? The person mused aloud, a strangely deep yet normal voice. It's as friendly as ever. The voice snorted in his mind. These people won't change, partner, you know that. It told him. Hate to agree with him, a more feminine voice said in his mind. But I agree with the bastard, they won't change. The boy snorted. I know the Kurama sensei. And cows, I know how right you are, but we all gotta live with it, don't we? The voice now called cows chuckled. You won't ever change, eh Naruto? The familiar foxy grin appeared on his face. Damn fucking straight. Now where was I headed again? Kurama smirked. The blonde had become a great companion over the years. Hell, she considered him her very first friend, and a great friend at that. Ever since she had made cows, Naruto had been very happy, and though she pushed him, he was very determined and mastered everything she taught him, which surprised even her. We were headed to the academy Gaki, for your grand entrance. Kurama reminded him. Naruto smirked. Yes, that. Well, let's not keep them waiting, eh? All three grinned as Naruto walked towards the academy. One who shapes the future. Naruto arrived at the academy a full 2 hours early, so nobody was there. He shrugged at this and simply sat in his usual seat between the pink-haired banshee and the emo uchiha. He sighed and rested his head on the table, covering his head with his arms so as to not get the light in his eyes. He vaguely wondered what he would have to do when the test of the original didn't arrive in time. The thought terrified him to his core. He hummed quietly, calming the chakra flow and letting it rise before calming it again. It was a chakra control exercise he had learned, which worked wonders for him as it helped him keep calm. He knew the original would find this useful when stupid people pissed him off. He concentrated chakra into his ears and blocked off his hearing so he would be able to keep peaceful. Before he had noticed it, he felt the vibrations of people walking into the room through the table. He raised his head and looked at the clock. Had 2 hours passed already? That was much faster than he thought. He sighed and unlocked his hearing. He immediately regretted it upon hearing a certain pink-haired banshee screech in annoyance at a blonde girl. He groaned. I was here first, Eno pig. Pinky screamed. I get to sit next to Sasuke-kun. No way, billboard brow. Eno yelled back. I get to sit next to Sasuke-kun. Hami, kill me now. Naruto murmured. This went unnoticed by everyone though, as usual. The blonde sighed and got out his seat, moving up to sit at the corner in the back. Nobody looked at him, except for one girl on the other side of Sasuke. She wore the same shirt as the male uchiha, a blue shirt with the uchiha logo on the back. She also wore shorts that reached below her knees. Attached to her left thigh was a kunai holster. She looked at the blonde Uzumaki in an odd way, but nobody noticed that. Eventually, Iruka walked into the classroom. Alright everyone, settle down. Whenever he kept talking he got a tick mark. He put chakra into his vocal cords to enhance his voice. Everyone shut up right now. At that everyone stopped talking and sat. Iruka nodded and spoke normally. As you all know, today is the graduation test for you to become shinobi, genin to be exact, which you should all be proud of. Everyone was excited, except for one blonde Uzumaki. But it isn't fun and games. Iruka said in a serious tone. You dedicate your life to this, and you serve under the Hokage with your life, nothing less. I wish you all the best of luck in the Iksa. Before Iruka could finish, a voice boomed in the room. Finally. Everyone looked around. What the one person said, which summed up everyone's thoughts except for one blonde in the classroom. He's here. Naruto thought excitedly. Finally. The voice repeated, but sounded closer than before. Everyone looked around, trying to find the source of the voice. A smoke cloud appeared in the middle of the classroom, which everyone looked at. When the smoke cleared, they saw a blonde-haired person with sky blue eyes and 3 whisker marks on each cheek. They all caught their breath. He looked towards the ceiling. Finally. Naruto has come back to Konoha. He yelled in absolute delight. Everyone except the Naruto in his seat looked at him in shock. God damn, I've been waiting 7 years to say that. One person stood, a brown-haired boy with red marks on his cheeks. He wore brown shorts, blue sandals, and a gray hoodie. He had a dog sitting on his head. He pointed at Naruto. "You can't be the loser," he yelled out. "He's sitting right there." He pointed at the other Naruto in the room. And Naruto got up and walked towards the other blonde. "Took you long enough, boss." Everyone was shocked at that. Iriel let out a feral grin. "Thought I wasn't gonna make it." "That's exactly what I thought," his eyes narrowed. "But can you dispel me now? 7 years of this hell was enough." Naruto barked with laughter before making the ram hand seal. Kai. The Bushin, the Naruto that everyone had known for 7 years, smiled before becoming a pool of blood. Naruto looked towards them, lowering his hood to reveal his face. Several girls blushed. "Allow me to introduce myself properly. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, of the Uzumaki clan. The Naruto you have known until now was nothing more than a clone I made while I trained outside the village." He looked towards Iruka. "Forgive me for interrupting your class, Iruka-sensei, I will go sit now." With his piece said, Naruto walked up the aisle before sitting in the chair his clone was sat in, smirking. Iruka cleared his throat before people could start speaking. "Well then, best of luck to all of you in your exams. We begin with a written test. Mizuki." The silver-haired Chunin nodded before placing a piece of paper on everyone's desks, but gave a scowl at Naruto as he placed the paper on his. The blonde looked over it and frowned. "Genjutsu, what a fool." Naruto made the ram hand sign. Kai. With that, the Genjutsu on his paper disappeared. He smirked and filled in all of the questions correctly without a single problem. But the silver-haired Chunin Mizuki didn't notice and thought the blonde had failed. Placing a Genjutsu, what a fool. Naruto stated mentally. What a dumbus, cows agreed. Who wouldn't notice that? All those questions were why to hard. Well, based on the Bushin's memories, a certain pink-haired banshee comes to mind. Kurama threw in. Naruto smirked. Yes, that pink-haired bitch certainly wouldn't notice that Genjutsu. Naruto continued the conversation with his tenant and his hoodie until the test was over. Mizuki greedily collected Naruto's paper, fully expecting to see wrong answers when they reviewed it. Alright, now with the written test over, it's time for the kunai and shuriken throwing. Iruka told them. Everyone got up and followed him. They arrived at the academy training field. In this test, you must throw your kunai and shuriken at the target. You throw 10 kunai and shuriken. Shuriken must be thrown at the same time, but kunai may be separately thrown. Now, let's start with Amizura. And so Naruto waited for his turn. Unfortunately, they were going in order of their last names, so he was stuck until the end. He wasn't really paying attention, nobody did that good. It wasn't until he heard a name that he actually started watching. Sasuke Uchiha, Iruka called out. Naruto turned to watch this. He wanted to see how the two famed last Uchiha did at this. He chuckled without humor. Sasuke stood up and took the shuriken first. He watched the target for several seconds before throwing all the shuriken. Each one landed on the target and the amount on the bullseye. Sasuke Uchiha shuriken throwing, 8 tenths. Iruka declared. Very impressive. All his fangirls cheered and Sasuke smirked. Naruto noticed out the corner of his eye that his sister also let out a smirk. Uchiha pride, Naruto thought. It will get them killed. Kurama and cows both agreed with him on that one. Next up, kunai. Sasuke nodded and grabbed the 10 kunai. Deciding to show off, he threw them all at the same time, but frowned as he didn't get the result he wanted. Sasuke Uchiha, kunai throwing, 7 tenths. Iruka said. Still impressive. HN was all the Uchiha said before going to stand with his sister, who gave him a pat on the back for a job well done. Sayuko Uchiha. Iruka called, and the girl grinned before stepping forward. She grabbed the kunai and threw them all at the same time, getting a far better result than her twin. She smirked at the result she got, fitting for an Uchiha heiress. Sayuko Uchiha, 9 tenths on kunai throwing. Iruka nodded. Very good. What would you expect of the Uchiha heiress? She grinned, causing a lot of the boys to cheer for her. Naruto rubbed his temple. Kurama, I see why you hate Uchihas so much. What arrogant beepheads. Told you, Gaki, the Uchiha are nothing but arrogant bastards. Kurama confirmed. Sayuko got 7 tenths on shuriken throwing, which was just a bit worse than Sasuke, so the two were roughly tied with each other. Finally, once Sayuko had returned to her brother, the final name was called out. Naruto Uzumaki. Everyone looked towards him. He shrugged and walked forwards. What to do, Naruto thought. Hey sensei, mind if I use my own kunai and shuriken? Iruka nodded. If that's what you want. Naruto smirked before reaching into his shuriken pouch. He tapped a seal and pulled out 10 shuriken, all of them made of chakra metal, but nobody noticed. Naruto channeled a little chakra into them, making them sharper, before throwing them with deadly accuracy. They all landed on target. The amount on the bullseye. Naruto Uzumaki, shuriken throwing, 10 tenths, perfect score. Iruka announced, surprised, as was everyone else. Was this the real Naruto? The one they never knew? Were the clone and the original that different? Naruto smirked and tapped a seal in his kunai holster, pulling out 10 kunai. Everyone's eyes widened. How could he pull out 10 kunai from a tiny kunai holster? It wasn't possible. The blonde simply smirked before channeling wind and fire chakra into his 10 kunai. He threw them all and they went straight through the target in the blink of an eye, through a boulder. The boulder caught on fire, causing it to melt. Everyone gasped. Naruto Uzumaki, kunai throwing, 10 tenths, perfect score. Iruka stuttered out, in complete shock. How could Naruto do so well? Naruto smirked before walking back. Too easy. Everyone looked at Naruto in a new light, except for a pink-haired banshee and the man she worshipped. Naruto Baka must have cheated. Sakura told herself. Shah. There is no way he could beat Sasuke-kun. Her inner self agreed. HMPH Sasuke thought. What a cheat. No way he could get that good, no-name orphan. I will find out his secret and get him out of this academy for it. Iruka then led them to the hall. There they tested them on breaking Genjutsu. A Chunin placed a D-rank Genjutsu. Their job was to break it. Naruto shrugged as the Genjutsu was placed on him. He make a single-handed ram seal. Kai. The Genjutsu shattered and blew the Chunin back. Everyone looked at Naruto in shock. Do I pass? He asked, causing everyone to face fault. Yes, you pass Naruto. Iruka told him. Naruto smirked before going to sit down. That god you taught me Genjutsu. Naruto thanked Kurama. No problem Gaki Kurama said with a smile. What about a thanks for cows? The hoodie asked. I helped you with your Genjutsu too. Naruto chuckled. You two cows. I don't know what I'd do without you. Boss stop you're making me blush. Then hoodies blush. Cows didn't speak but was seriously considering the question. Well let's think of this logically. I'm a talking silver fox created from a 9-tailed demon queen living inside your stomach and can turn into a hoodie at will, as well as use most of the queen's jutsu. So, I guess it's also possible for me to blush as a hoodie. Sounds legit. Naruto agreed. The Genjutsu test, much to Naruto's joy, finally ended. They walked back outside where a training field had been prepared. Right, now you will each spar against Mizuki. Your goal is to last 60 seconds. And so Naruto, once again, was forced to wait. He was starting to consider taking on his father's last name so he wouldn't have to wait as long. But then he frowned and shook his head. No, he would honor his mother, the previous Jinchuriki for Kurama, by keeping her last name, and maybe just maybe. Whoa don't get ahead of yourself Blondie Naruto told himself. I need to become a shinobi first. But Gaki Kurama said. Concentrate on the present right now, we can think about the future at a later time, right now this is more important. Naruto nodded and waited his turn. Though he hated his guts, he was impressed with the two uchiha. Sasuke and Sayuko were both able to last 52 seconds against Mizuki. Naruto chuckled and hoped he wouldn't hurt Mizuki too bad. Not, he grinned. Uzumaki Naruto, Iruka called out and Naruto stepped into the ring. Ready? They both nodded. On begin. The second he said begin, Mizuki charged at Naruto, hoping to accidentally break his leg and end his shinobi dream. But nobody expected what Naruto would do. Naruto appeared in front of Mizuki in the blink of an eye, no ninjutsu, pure speed. He nailed Mizuki in the jaw with a right hook, sending him flying to the blonde's left. He then dashed and slammed Mizuki's skull into the ground with a powerful foot stomp. Mizuki was no longer conscious. Everyone, especially a certain Hyuki heiress and Uchiha heiress, stared at Naruto in shock. After a while, Naruto said. A minute has passed. I've managed against a Chunin for a minute. I passed this test. Iruka blinked before nodding. Yeah, you pass Naruto one of the other Chunin pick up Mizuki and take him to the medic's office. Well, time to start the last exam. He led them back to the main classroom and opened one of the doors. One by one I will call your name and then you shall start the ninjutsu part of the exam. Everyone nodded and Naruto mentally groaned. Great, he had to wait. Again. I'm going to kill whoever came up with the idea of using last names to decide who goes when and shove my sword up their asses. Naruto growled. How's whooped? That a boy. Kurama simply giggled at the blonde's anger. Naruto sighed. They will probably make us do the 3 academy jutsu and then ask for any more so we can get extra credit, right Kurama-sensei? Kurama grunted in agreement. That's what happens now. Back when your mother was in the academy, you needed to know your elemental affinity and know at least 2 C-rank ninjutsu. Didn't matter which, long as they were C-rank. Naruto frowned. Konoha has grown weak no doubt because of the civilian council taking over the academy and making it easier, so their children have shot at becoming shinobi. Naruto snorted. They will die so fast it won't even be goddamn funny. That will change when you become Hokage Kurama teased. Right Gaki? Naruto nodded. You're damn right. I will put the academy back to the old ways. These civilians will have no right in this academy anymore. only the serious shinobi. He noticed that Seuko had returned to the room, wearing a Konoha hit I-8. Kurama and Cows growled lowly. "Uchiha slut." Cows yelled out. "Damn bitch." Kurama agreed. "Calm down," Naruto ordered. "We need to focus on Madara. Any other Uchiha isn't important right now." "Uzumaki Naruto," Hiruka called, and the name hung in the room. Everyone was deathly silent as the blonde rose from his seat and walked down the stairs. The two walked into another room, where Mizuki was sitting. Naruto stood in front of the desk as Hiruka sat down. "First show us a henge." Naruto nodded and, without a hand sign, there was a poof of smoke. Mizuki and Minato's eyes widened. Standing where Naruto once was, there was a perfect copy of the Yondaime Hokage. Hiruka took in the similarities the two shared, an idea forming in his mind. Naruto dispelled the henge. "Next." Hiruka nodded. "Kawarimi." Naruto nodded and sudden, in his place, there was nothing. Hiruka looked closely and saw a pebble. His eyes widened. It was impossible. Only Uchiha Mikoto could perform the technique to that level. Naruto appeared in front of them, smirking. "Finally, Bushin." Hiruka managed. Naruto frowned. "Sensei, does it have to be a regular one?" Hiruka raised an eyebrow. "You see, my chakra reserves are so big it is physically impossible for me to do a normal one." Hiruka opened the rule book and looked through it. "It says here there are cases such as yours where a different Bushin is permitted." Naruto grinned and, in a poof of smoke, behind him stood 5 more Narutos. Each of them had the same prankster grin on their faces. Hiruka's eyes widened. "Yes. These are Kage Bushin." Surprised. Hiruka nodded. "Well done, Naruto. You may perform more jutsu for extra credit." Naruto nodded and thought about what to do. Eventually an idea came to mind. He made a hand sign Ram then held his hand towards the door. "Futon. Kamiarashi." A fierce wind blasted out his hands, shredding the door into nothingness. Both Hiruka and Mizuki's eyes shot open, shocked. "Well done, Naruto." Hiruka stuttered. Any more?" "If I did any more I'd probably destroy something valuable," Naruto said simply. Hiruka quickly nodded and pointed towards the hit I-8. "Congratulations Gen and Uzumaki," Hiruka said. Naruto nodded and looked over the headbands. He picked up one with a black cloth and tied it around his neck. He walked back into the classroom just to hear a certain Inuzuka snort. "No chance the dope passed guys," he said, and a lot of people laughed. Naruto narrowed his eyes. With a flick of his wrist, the short blade emerged from under his gauntlet. Think of Assassin's Creed. "I'd keep your mouth shut Inuzuka-san, otherwise you may find yourself missing something important to all males." Every male in the classroom, even Sasuke, paled and moved their hands to protect their family jewels. Kiba gulped and nodded. Naruto smirked. "Smart choice Mutt." With another flick of his wrist, the blade receded. Naruto walked up and sat in his seat, not catching the Uchiha and Hyuga looking at him as he did. "One who shapes the future." Naruto sat atop the stone face of the Yondaime Hokage, his father. He stared upon Konoha as the sun set. "Beautiful," he whispered. It was the perfect word to describe it. The village was beautiful at this time. It was only during the sunset that he felt fully at peace. He always felt as if he could die this peacefully. "Baki, stop those thoughts now," Kurama ordered. Naruto blinked. "Sorry Kurama-sensei, but you know what I mean don't you?" Kurama sighed, nodding. "Yeah, I know what you mean." "Oh for Kami-sama, stop if you." Cow snapped. "You act like an old married couple." "Jealous?" Kurama asked innocently. "Then hoodies be jealous?" Naruto asked. Kurama frowned, contemplating the question. "Fuck you Gaki." Naruto burst out laughing at that. "Got you there Kurama-sensei." Kurama nodded. "Gaki, it's time for you to try that technique one last time, just to be sure you've mastered it." Naruto nodded. This would be the last step to his training. If he could do this, then he would be very difficult to defeat and would put himself in the rank of an A rank, bordering S rank shinobi. He brought his hands together in a praying gesture and chakra channeled within him. He whispered, "Onmum. Banbutsu SMZM." Slowly, in his hands, something began to form. It was slow, but it was defiantly happening. After a minute or so, he pulled his hands apart to reveal a regular-sized crow sitting in his hand. It cawed, and Naruto smiled. "I did it, I mastered the Banbutsu SMZM." The caw flew up and nestled itself on Naruto's head. "I guess it likes me, I did create him after all." Kurama and Cow snorted together. "I'll call him Leo," Naruto decided. Leo cawed in approval at his new name. "Keep using this technique regularly, making bigger things," Kurama told him. "The faster you can do this, the better." Naruto nodded. "Hi, Kurama-sensei." Suddenly Naruto felt very strong negative emotions as the sun set. He could feel the hatred and evil in the air. "That's coming from Jiji's tower, I see, I'd know this anger anywhere Mizuki." Naruto's eyes flared and he vanished in a white flash. "One who shapes the future." Uzumaki was running through the forest, the forbidden scroll on his back, along with 2 very large shuriken. He was grinning to himself like a madman. Once I deliver these to Orochimaru-sama, he will give me all the power I need. And finally, I will be one of the strongest beings alive. He laughed like a maniac. He looked back, and his eyes widened as he quickly dodged a fireball. He landed on the ground as he looked at his attacker. Iruka. The Chunin looked at Mizuki dangerously. Why Mizuki? Why would you do this? Mizuki laughed, a laugh of pure evil. Because this village is pathetic. Weak. Once I deliver this scroll to Orochimaru-sama, he will make me one of the strongest people to walk the elemental nations. Mizuki cackled madly. Iruka quickly ran through hand seals, but wasn't able to finish because of Mizuki. While Iruka ran through the hand seals, he quickly unstrapped one of the shuriken from his back and threw it at Iruka. Iruka barely had time to kawarimi with a log. But he didn't see the second shuriken following the other's shadow and got struck in the back for his troubles. He coughed up blood and fell down. He tried to stand without success. He coughed up more blood. Oh Iruka, Mizuki laughed. You poor fool. You could never match me. And it will be your downfall. He ran through hand seals as fast as he could. Goodbye Iruka. Kaiten. Nkakik no jutsu. He shot the biggest fireball he could manage at Iruka, who just closed his eyes and waited for death. And waited. And waited. Iruka opened his eyes. Why hadn't any pain come? He looked up. In front of him stood a boy who couldn't be more than 13, with blood-red hair, a silver hoodie, black-style Anbu pants. But the boy also wore a kitsune mask, which was interesting since after the Kyuubi attack, nobody seemed to like foxes much. Iruka's first thought was it being Naruto, but Naruto's hair was blonde with red tips, not red. Uzumaki, the boy said, shaking his head, but it sounded demonic. My, how the mighty have fallen. Jabroni, you got some guts though. Stealing the Yondaime's sacred scroll of sealing. I'll admit you have some balls, but your life ends here today. Uzumaki narrowed his eyes. And just who are you? The boy smirked and looked into Mizuki's eyes, causing the latter to take a sharp breath. The eyes were crimson slits. Like the Kyuubi jabroni, you think I should just tell you? Mizuki snarled. That's exactly what I. It doesn't matter what you think. The redhead snarled. Now you better hand over that scroll before I kick your candy ass all over this damn village. Mizuki backed up, a bit scared now. Who the hell are you? The redhead smirked. They call me. He vanished in a flash of white and sent a hand through Mizuki's chest, holding his heart in front of the Chunin. The White Death. With his piece said, he crushed the heart in his hands, causing Mizuki to fall down, dead. The boy froze at what he had done. He's dead, he thought, scared at what he had done. You did what you needed to do, Naruto. The voice of Kurama came. He deserved to die. You're right, he whispered quietly, the demonic tone gone from his voice. He took the scroll and went to Iruka. You okay? Iruka coughed up blood. I'll take that as a no. Naruto chuckled. He took the shuriken out of the Chunin's back before healing him. He then backed away. Iruka stood. Thanks for the help, but who are you? Naruto frowned and thought for a moment. It was then Kurama provided a good name for Naruto to use. He slapped on his demonic tone. I was gracious enough to help you today, Chunin. He said coldly, which made Iruka freeze. Tell your Hokage of me. Remember my name, and remember it well. I am Asura Otsutsuki, the White Death. With that, Asura threw the scroll towards Iruka and disappeared in a white flash. Iruka looked afraid now, very afraid. The Anbu arrived, and upon seeing a dead Mizuki, turned to look at a frozen and scared Yumino Iruka. Care to explain what happened, Chunin Yumino? One of the Anbu asked the Chunin, who snapped out of it. He sighed. Well, how do I explain this? But, unknown to them, someone had seen the whole thing. And there she sat at a distance, Sharingan spinning wildly as she fled, having a good idea of who the person was and where he was. One who shapes the future. Naruto appeared back on top of the Yondaime's head on the Hokage monument. He took off his mask and withdrew Kurama's power. Immediately his hair went back to being blonde with red tips. He sealed his mask back into his cloak, smirking. That went perfectly. Now if I do a few bad acts under that name, Asura Otsutsuki will be known all over the elemental nations. My plan is going well. Don't get ahead of yourself, Gaki, Kurama told him. But yes, it is going good. Well? Cows asked. Good. This is fucking brilliant. I can't wait. Naruto smirked. Asura Otsutsuki, where did you get that name? Kurama was silent for a while before answering. That was the name of the Rikido Senin's second son. Naruto caught his breath. His son? Kurama nodded. Yes. I gave that name because Kurama frowned. I don't know, I just feel something similar about him here. Naruto was silent. Was he similar to Asura? Naruto didn't know. He looked up to the sage, the man who created ninjutsu. The man who sealed the Kyuubi, who brought peace to the world alongside his brother, which not many heard about, but Kurama told Naruto about everything to do with the Rikyu. Well, a voice said behind Naruto, causing said blonde to freeze. He slowly turned around, with wide eyes. Sayuko? Naruto was able to get out, coming face to face with Sayuko Uchiha. The Uchiha era smirked. Kurama screamed in outrage, cows cursed loudly and Naruto. He just kept looking with wide eyes. So Uzumaki Sayuko grinned. Mind telling me what you were doing fighting Mizuki-sensei? Naruto gulped loudly. He thought 2 words that summed things up pretty well. Ah fuck. Naruto took a small breath and let out a smile. Uchiha-san, you shouldn't scare me like that. He told her. I thought you were gonna attack me. And what is this about attacking Mizuki-sensei? Sayuko's Sharingan flared. Do not try and lie to me, Uzumaki. I know what I saw. I honestly don't know what you're talking about, Uchiha-san, Naruto said innocently. I've been sitting here for a long time, just staring at the stars. Sayuko growled. She took some deep breaths and deactivated her Sharingan. I have no interest in telling anybody, Uzumaki. Just tell me. Naruto smirked. I don't know what you mean, Uchiha-san. Now please leave me, you are disrupting my train of thought. Sayuko glared at him. I will find out about you one day, Uzumaki. I would stop now, Uchiha, Naruto warned. You won't find anything about me anywhere, and the Hokage won't tell you anything without my express permission. Sayuko snarled. Fuck you, Uzumaki. Naruto smirked. No thanks. Now get lost, jabroni, before I kick your candy ass off this monument. Sayuko growled once again before stalking away, clearly angry. I will find out about you, Uzumaki, just you wait. Naruto waited until he couldn't sense her before sighing with relief. That was a close one. I owe you one, Kurama-sensei. Teaching me to be a quick thinker helped me talk my way out of that. That was too close for comfort, Kurama agreed. We'll need to make our moves carefully from now on, that damn Sharingan. Let me at that, Uchiha bitch. Cows screamed. I want to kill that slut. Madara comes first, cows, Naruto told him. After him, we will make sure that Itachi dies soon after, I promise. Well, Gaki, it's time for some training. Kurama smirked. Naruto shivered. Oh fuck. One who shapes the future. For the next week, Naruto, under Kurama's orders, did nothing but train. She had him use weight seals, so he would be able to move faster. In addition, she told him to use chakra restriction seals to limit his chakra flow, making it harder to perform jutsu. Naruto loved pushing himself to the limit, but this seemed a bit ridiculous, even for him. But despite this, he loved the training. On the way to the academy, he decided not to take off the seals. This way I have a trump card just in case, was his reasoning. If he took off his seals when he really needed to, then his opponent would fall very quickly, not knowing what hit them. He grinned at this idea, he would be much stronger with this. Kurama and cows agreed as well, surprise was always a good use. Naruto arrived at the academy a few hours early, sitting in his usual seal. He tapped a seal in his pants and was holding a book. The title read. Level 8 Genjutsu. He studied the seals in the book, committing each one to memory, what it looks like, what it does, its name, everything. He would of course have to practice drawing them so he could use them in battle. Naruto didn't pay attention as many of the students walked into the room. He was too engrossed in his book. However, when he felt someone sit next to him, he felt the glares of every boy in class on him. Looking to the side, he noticed the person sitting next to him. Sayuko, he growled lowly. Said Uchiha grinned. Problem sitting next to me, Uzumaki. Naruto wanted to say something rude to her, but he bit his tongue and just went back to his book. He flipped the page, scanning the seal. What you reading? The Uchiha asked him. Naruto looked at her. None of your business. He said coldly. He had no love for the Uchiha, they were the ones that beat him up most as a child, they even beat up his clones. He was incredibly happy to find out Itachi had killed them all. He looked back to his book, ignoring everyone around him. It wasn't until Iruka walked into the room that he closed his book and paid attention. Iruka smiled. I'm glad to see everyone from the academy here and well rested. Iruka-sensei, one called out. Where is Mizuki-sensei? Iruka's frown faltered. I won't lie to you. He told them. Mizuki was a traitor. Everyone, except Naruto and Sayuko, gasped. He stole the sacred scroll of sealing from the Hokage tower and planned to take it to the S-rank missing nin, Orochimaru of the Sannin. Naruto stared on, impassive and uncaring. But let's not dwell on that. Iruka put on a smile. You are all genin of Konohagakure no Sado. You are the new generation of shinobi, and I expect you all to do us proud, make name for yourselves, and defend the village to the best of your abilities. Everyone cheered. Now, because you are just genin, we will be putting you in teams, along with a Jounin sensei to help you on the way to becoming true shinobi. Now, team 1 is. Naruto blanked out, not really paying attention. He would listen when his name was called. He just kept reading his book, studying a very powerful Kaiten sealing technique. It wasn't for another few minutes that he heard his name. Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto's head rose to look at Iruka. Haruno Sakura. Sakura groaned in annoyance. Uchiha Sasuke. Sakura screeched in joy while Naruto groaned. The brother of Itachi Uchiha had no reaction. Uchiha Seuko. Naruto cursed not so quietly, while both Uchiha smirked. Your Jounin sensei will be hot Aki Kakashi. Naruto rose his hand. Sensei, why is our team made of 4 genin and a Jounin, while the others are made of 3 genin and a Jounin? He wasn't listening, but he knew how the system worked. Iruka looked at him. Hokage's orders. He said that, to make sure this team is fully balanced, you needed 4 genin and a Jounin sensei. Naruto groaned but nodded. If anyone had bothered looking, they would have seen a small smile on Seuko's lips. Anyway, teammate is Aburami Shino, Inyazuka Kiba, and Hyuga Hinata. Your Jounin sensei is Yuuhi Kurenai. The 3 of the genin nodded, but Hinata looked upset at not being with Naruto. Team 9 is still in circulation from last year, so Team 10 is Yamanaka Ino, Akamichi Chouji, and Nara Shikamaru. Your Jounin sensei is Sarutobi Asuma. Ino groaned in annoyance at being paired with the lazy ass and the chubby kid. Chouji and Shikamaru looked quite happy to be paired with each other. Your Jounin senseis will be here at 1. For now, it's time for lunch. Everyone nodded and stood, except for Naruto. They all left the room, leaving the Uzumaki to his book. After a few minutes, he tapped a seal on his cloak, producing a sandwich. He took an experimental bite. It's good. He took a second bite and continued reading. Kurama-sama. Cow spoke. What cows? Kurama grunted. Why are you helping this gaki? I can't sense anything special about him. What drove you to help him? Kurama frowned. There is something familiar about the gaki. It reminds me of one of 2 people I truly respected. And who were they? That is for me to know and you to find out. Naruto was unaware of this conversation as the 2 were speaking outside of the mental link. So the blonde just kept on reading, unaware of the conversation between the 2. He was vaguely aware of the door opening and someone sitting next to him, but he paid them no heed. It wasn't until he felt a tap on his shoulder he glanced over. What do you want, Uchiha-san? The Uzumaki heir snapped, getting annoyed with her. I just want to talk dobe, she said to him. His eyes narrowed. You aren't making a good conversation starter, Uchiha-san. Why won't you speak to me with any respect? She asked. Because you haven't earned it. I am an elite Uchiha. You should show me the proper resp. So what if you're an Uchiha? He asked suddenly. Respect is not given, it is earned. If you expect me to bow down before you just because you think you deserve respect. Honestly, I have more respect for Itachi than for you. Her eyes flared. How dare you? He did not get my respect from being an Uchiha or anything like that. Certainly not by killing each and every one of them. He gained my respect by training hard every day to become as strong as possible. He told her. It doesn't matter. She growled. Training means nothing. He told me hate is the only thing that will help me grow stronger. Then you are a fool, he told her. How dare you? If he was telling you to hate him, then maybe he was trying to hinder you so that you wouldn't grow stronger, unable to kill him. She closed her mouth. She hadn't thought of it that way. It made perfect sense. If her brother wanted her to lose against him, he would give her false information on what to do. So that she would grow weak and unable to kill him. It made perfect sense now. Maybe I should train more, she thought. Consider my words, Uchiha-san. With that, he used chakra to block off his ears so he couldn't hear her. She didn't even make an attempt to speak to him again. She was considering his words and simply let him study his book. He ran his fingers over the seal. He did it several times, as if he was writing it. One who shapes the future. Nearly 2 hours had passed as Naruto and the rest of his team waited for their Jounin sensei. Naruto read his book, not paying attention to the others. Sasuke kept brooding out the window. Sakura was growing very impatient. And Seuko stared blankly into space, still contemplating Naruto's words. The blonde Uzumaki soon got up and walked over to the door. Everyone followed his figure as he pulled a piece of paper out his pocket and placed it above the door, then walked back to his seat. Seuko looked at him. What did you place above the door? Naruto shrugged and went back to reading his book. Seuko could tell there was something about that piece of paper that definitely wasn't normal. There was a huge difference between the Naruto she knew, the dope, the loser, the class clown, and this Naruto, the star, the rookie of the year, the powerhouse. He seemed more mature, smarter, dangerous. And she liked it. She was snapped out of her thoughts by the door opening. A silver-haired man popped his head through the door. He wore the Konoha Hittite, it was covering his left eye. A mask covered the lower half of his face. As his head popped through the door, the piece of paper above the door shone with a peculiar pattern, and from it, water erupted and fell on the man, whose visible eye widened, and he jumped up, shivering. Naruto chuckled lightly to himself, he couldn't help it. He flipped to the next page of his book, keeping an eye on the silver-haired Jonin. The Jonin looked at the blonde Uzumaki. "My first impression of you is I hate you, especially you blondie." Naruto laughed loudly. "Meet me on the roof in 2 minutes." With that, the Cyclops disappeared in a Konoha Shushin. Naruto, too lazy to get up, disappeared in a Shushin, made of blue fire. The 3 remaining genin looked at where the blonde had been seated with wide eyes, before leaving the classroom. By the time the 3 got up there, they saw the Jinchuriki and the silver-haired Jonin engaging in a staring contest. They all sweat dropped and went to sit. The Jonin tore his gaze from Naruto. "Alright, time for you to introduce yourselves. Your name, likes, dislikes, hobbies and goals." "Why don't you go first, sensei?" Sakura asked. "So we can get an example." Naruto's sweat dropped. This was the second smartest genin in our year. The Jonin shrugged. "My name is Hot Aki Kakashi. My likes don't really hate anything. I have a lot of hobbies. My goal." The Uchiha twins and Sakura sweat dropped. All we learned was his name. "Alright Pinky, you can go first." Sakura glared at the nickname. "My name is Haruno Sakura. My likes are." She looked at Sasuke and squealed. "My hobby." She squealed again. "My dream." She blushed red, looking at Sasuke. "I hate Naruto Baka and Ino Pig." Naruto held his ears and muttered under his breath, "Fucking Banshee." "Good lord, I think I am deaf." Cows complained. "The next emo," Kakashi said to Sasuke. He glared as well before speaking. "My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I hate a lot of things and I don't particularly like anything. My hobbies are none of your concern. What I have is not a dream, it is an ambition. I am going to restore my clan and kill a certain someone." Kakashi looked at him. "As I thought." Sakura blushed. "Sasuke is so hot, I died a little writing that QQ." Sayuko shook her head, thinking about Naruto's words. "Is it really worth it to kill Itachi now?" Naruto glanced at the Avenger. Itachi would kill him 5 times before a second was over. "Alright, your turn princess," Kakashi pointed to Sayuko. She liked the nickname, having no complaints. "My name is Uchiha Sayuko. My likes, I guess my brother may be a certain someone." She blushed lightly, which caught Sasuke's attention. "I'll have to test this guy," was her twin's thought. "My dislike somebody and Suita Ninjutsu. My hobbies reading, planning to add something else to the list. My dream. Still the same person as Sasuke, start a family." She glanced at the blonde, blushing. But nobody saw it, other than Kakashi. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. "She likes Naruto. How interesting. Your turn, blondie." Naruto chuckled. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like ramen, training pair of foxes." Kakashi's eyes bolted open, but realized he said pair of foxes. "I dislike arrogant people, the time it takes for ramen to cook, and people who don't take being a shinobi seriously." Here he threw a nasty look at Sakura. "My hobbies are training with my sensei." Everyone raised an eyebrow. The boy had a private sensei. Sasuke was angry at this. He and Sayuko were the last Uchiha. They deserved a private sensei speaking with my friends and pranking. "My dream." Naruto gained a very thoughtful look. "My dream is to make a peaceful world, a world where nobody needs to lose their family, a world where a child doesn't need to grow up without a mother or father. A world where everyone can agree and no more children need to be raised as shinobi." Kakashi's single eye widened as he looked at the boy, and his sensei's words echoed in his mind. "Kakashi, being Hokage means to try and keep the peace, to make a world where everyone is happy. And I intend to start with Konoha. It has been corrupted and I intend to fix it." He saw, where Naruto was sat, the silhouette of his diseased sensei. Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. Kakashi looked at Naruto again. "That is a very admirable dream, Naruto, but how will you achieve it?" Naruto smiled. "You will see someday, Kakashi-sensei." Kakashi nodded. "Well, now that we all know each other better, it's time I tell you about the real genin test." Sakura blinked. "But sensei, we're already genin." Kakashi and Naruto chuckled, then stopped and looked at each other. "I know why it's funny," Kakashi said. "Why are you laughing?" "Because of how dumb she is," he said, and Sakura got a tick mark. "Our other genin test was way too easy." Kakashi nodded. "Well, Sakura, as Naruto said, the other genin test was just to see if you were capable of becoming genin. This test will see if you are worthy to become genin." Sasuke growled. "We Uchiha are more than worthy to become genin. Right, Sayuko?" Sayuko was about to agree, but remembered Naruto's words and hesitated. "I don't know, Sasuke," she said, causing Sasuke's eyes to widen and Kakashi to nod in approval. "I mean, all we know how to do is a couple other jutsu besides the basic Academy 3. If they were to put us on a C-rank mission against bandits, I don't think we would do too well." Kakashi nodded. "You are very correct, Sayuko. I can see why you were Kunoichi of the year. As I was saying, out of all the genin we pass, only 3 teams are allowed to remain genin. That means a failure rate of 67%. So we have a 33% chance of passing, Naruto concluded, to which Kakashi nodded. Correct, Naruto. Meet me at training ground 7 tomorrow at 9 AM. He told them. Oh, and I wouldn't recommend eating breakfast, you'll just puke. With that, he disappeared in a swirl of leaves. Naruto got up and slipped a piece of paper into Sayuko's pocket as he walked away. The girl looked at him in confusion before taking it out and looking at it. The paper read. Don't listen to him, eat breakfast, and get there around 12, he will be late again. She raised an eyebrow, but thought about it. They should eat every meal so their bodies could be strong, so that made sense, and their sensei was about 3 hours late today, so he would most likely be late tomorrow as well. She considered sharing this with Sasuke, but he was as arrogant as their father, no way he would listen. Hey Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled. Would you go out with him? No, came the Uchiha's response as he left with his sister. Sakura sighed and instinctively spoke. No, I will not date you, Naruto. She looked around, only to see Naruto wasn't there. She squealed in delight. He must have finally got the hint. She skipped away, very happy and certain one day Sasuke would say yes to her. Poor fool that she was. One who shapes the future. Naruto flipped through a page of his book before writing the symbol down on a piece of paper. It was a seal used as a game jutsu. It made the enemy see what they wanted to see. So in Kakashi's case, he would most likely see Naruto charging in recklessly, when in actuality Naruto wouldn't have moved a step. Naruto had a game plan using the seal, he just hoped it would work. His stomach growled loudly, and he realized he hadn't eaten all day. The blonde walked out his apartment and to Ichiraku ramen. Naruto walked in and took a seat. Itachi looked at him. Welcome, what can I get yo? His eyes widened when he saw the spiky blonde hair and sky blue eyes. Even though his hair now had red tips, he could almost immediately tell who it was. Naruto. Said Uzumaki smiled and waved. Hey Tsuchihaji-san, it's been a while huh? Itachi smiled. Naruto my boy. I'm glad to see you're well. Me and Am were so worried about you. You used to love coming to our shop, but 7 years ago you just walked past. Broke Am's poor heart. Naruto grimaced. Sorry, that wasn't me. That was my bushin. I've been on a training trip for the better part of 7 years. And because it was just that a bushin it didn't need to eat or sleep. Sorry for worrying you guys like that. Gucci smiled. It's okay. Hey Am. Someone is here you wanna see. Am came out the back. Who is it? She caught sight of the blonde and became a gaping fish. Naruto-kun. Naruto waved. Yo Am Wani-chan. Am hugged the Uzumaki over the counter. You baka. Why didn't you come eat here? 7 years. Naruto grimaced again. That was a bushin. It didn't need to eat or sleep, I've been training for 7 years. Sorry for worrying though, Wani-chan. Am smiled. As long as you don't pull that again, we're good. Naruto smiled. I'm glad. So, can I get some miso ramen? Gucci laughed with Am. Come right up Ataudo. They set to work immediately, and soon enough the bowl was in front of Naruto. He breathed in through his nose, smelling it, and gained an orgasmic face. Oh yeah. That's the stuff. He picked up his chopsticks. I did Akamasu. He dug in, crying with joy. How I've missed this. He cried. Am giggled and Tucci laughed. Someone else walked in and sat beside Naruto. Hello. What can we get you? Beef ramen, came the voice. Naruto stopped and looked towards it. Uchiha-san, Naruto said, gaining a look from the girl. May I ask why you are here? To eat of course, she said as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. He raises an eyebrow. You come here often? She shook her head. I heard this was a good shop and I wanted to try it. And so here I am. Naruto nodded, accepting the answer. He went back to his ramen and Sayuko got hers. She tried it, her eyes widening. Good isn't it? The blonde asked cheekily. This is amazing. She called out. How have I not been here before? Well guess you were delayed, with the civilian council licking your ass and all, he chuckled. She glared at him. Do not talk about them. Do you know how difficult this is for me? Every day I'm afraid they will call me and try and put me under the craw, which means for a girl you are locked up in a place where you rarely see light and fucked by people you don't know until you pop out a baby, and then it happens again and again. Naruto looked at her. I imagine they have set up a lot of marriage contracts for Sasuke, based on what the craw is like for males. Sayuko nodded and Naruto chuckled. I just hope they don't find out about my bloodline, otherwise I'm screwed, literally. Sayuko's eyes widened. You have a bloodline. Naruto nodded. I'm a member of the Uzumaki clan, I'm guessing one of the last, as I'm the only one people know of. Sayuko gained a sympathetic look. We Uzumaki have a lot of abilities to our bloodline. The first is longevity. We live for an absurd amount of time, one Uzumaki leader lived to 200. Another is our insane chakra reserves, it's why my clone couldn't do the regular bushin. Even a third of my chakra is too much, as such, we cannot perform a lot of low-level ninjutsu and no possibility of using gain jutsu. There are two more aspects to my bloodline. What are they? Sayuko asked, enthralled by his speech. The first is a godly talent for Genjutsu, the sealing arts. The last aspect he trailed off. What is it? That's for you to see, a mischievous glint appeared in his eye. She pouted. No fair. Tell me. Naruto paid for his meal and stood, turning from her. I do not trust you nearly enough yet, Uchiha-san. With that, he left the ramen stand. Sayuko looked at his retreating figure before turning back to her ramen. She tasted it. It wasn't as good as when Naruto sat with her. One who shapes the future. Sasuke and Sakura were waiting at training ground 7, it was around 12. Sasuke sat at the base of a tree, in the shade of the tree, meditating. Sakura, on the other hand, had asked out Sasuke 20 times, while Sasuke was there and he had said no each time. For the time being, she had given up and was pacing vigorously. Where is Naruto Baka and Sayuko-chan? Sakura said after a while, catching Sasuke's attention. It's bad enough our sensei is late and now those two are. She gasped. Could they be dating? Sasuke growled. If you ever say anything like that again, I will personally make sure you are incapable of saying it again. Sakura paled and nodded, afraid of inciting her beloved Uchiha's wrath. But seeing Sasuke angry also turned her on so much. She just wanted to leap on the Uchiha and ride him all night low. She was snapped out her thoughts by a familiar voice. Oi. What did I miss? Came the voice of Sayuko. Sakura looked towards her and smiled before she frowned. You're late, Sayuko-chan. She looked sheepish. Sorry. I was really busy and lost track of time. Sakura nodded. Oh, that seems fair. She then saw someone else and her eyes narrowed. Naruto Baka. You're late. Naruto shrugged as he walked over. Sorry, I got lost on the road of life. In the trees, watching them, the silver-haired Jonin had a small tear in his eye. This boy will be my true apprentice. Fuck you, Uchiha. Naruto had the strangest feeling he had just won up at Sasuke, and he liked it. He let out a small grin. He closed his eyes and let his chakra spread out. His gaze fell on one particular tree. Kakashi's visible eye widened. How does he know where I am? Naruto smirked and mouthed. Teamwork is important, right, sensei? The Jonin froze, shocked. Naruto looked toward Sakura and Sasuke. Look, you two, I ate by accident this morning and I have a couple sandwiches, so why don't you eat them? Nope, we aren't allowed to eat breakfast, Sasuke said. It's 12, it's more like lunch now. He countered. Sasuke considered this before nodding and Sakura followed his example. He took out sandwiches from a seal in his shuriken pouch and handed them to Sasuke and Sakura. They ate them quickly in case Kakashi came along. Kakashi I smiled. Naruto was making an effort to make sure the team was in top shape. He had seen Naruto slip the paper into Sayuko's pocket as well. He soon decided it was time to say hello and appeared there in a shushin. Yo. You're late. The banshee screeched. Kakashi winced at her voice, as would everyone who wasn't used to it. Sorry, I got lost on the road of life. Naruto chuckled and Sakura's eyes narrowed at the same excuse Naruto had made. Well, I guess we should begin our genin test. He took an alarm clock and put it on the ground, then took 3 bells and attached them to his jacket. You have 2 hours to get these bells from me, otherwise you fail. But sensei, Sakura protested. There are only 3 bells. Kakashi I smiled. Which means one of you is going back to the academy. And if you don't get the bells, then you will all go back to the academy. Naruto immediately charged at the Jonin, throwing a kunai. The Jonin moved his head and Naruto threw a punch. Kakashi blocked it, then grabbed Naruto's arm and captured him in a lock. Now, I didn't even say start yet. Everyone looked at Kakashi with different reactions. Ready? And start. He released Naruto and jumped back. The 4 genin immediately dived into the trees to hide. Well, they can all hide well at least. The Jonin reached into his pouch and pulled out an orange book. He started reading it. Sayuko was watching Kakashi carefully, looking for an opening. She couldn't see any thought. As expected of a Jonin. "VST," came a voice behind her. She nearly fell out the tree, but she looked back to see Naruto. "Naruto," she said in a hushed whisper. "What are you doing?" "Look, I can't take him alone," he said. She raised an eyebrow. Naruto admitting he couldn't do something. That was new. This test is to prove our teamwork, to show we work well as a team. So I suggest we team up to take on Kakashi. I'll go try and convince Sasuke to help and you go get Sakura. Why don't I get Sasuke? He is my brother. He may not listen to you, he is a lot more arrogant. He raised his hand as she began to protest. Look, are you in or out? Sayuko took a deep breath. Okay, I'm in. Naruto nodded and then looked towards Kakashi, only to find he wasn't there. Shit, he's already started moving. The two heard an ear-splitting scream that rang through the training grounds. We need to hurry. Naruto then ran off to find Sasuke, while Sayuko looked for Sakura. One who shapes the future. When Naruto arrived at Sasuke's location, he had to hold back his laughter. There, with his body save his head buried underground, was the almighty Uchiha Sasuke. Hey Sasuke, how you doing? Dope. The Uchiha snapped, angry. I demand you get me out of here. Calm down Sasuke, I'll let you out on one condition. And what would that be? We work together to get the bells of course. Naruto said, as if it was obvious. He snorted. I don't need your help. I touched a bell, alone. I don't need anyone. Naruto was getting annoyed. Sasuke, you touched one, with my help you could get one. I can do it alone. Sasuke insisted. Fine. Naruto snapped. You can stay there then. He disappeared in a shushin. Hey wait. Let me out you bastard. Naruto appeared in by Sayuko, who was looking in a direction, annoyed. Let me guess, Sakura ran off for Sasuke. She nodded and sighed. When will she see my brother doesn't like her? Naruto shrugged. I couldn't get to Sasuke, so looks like we have to work alone. She nodded and the two came up with a strategy for getting the bells. Sayuko didn't admit it, but she was glad only she and Naruto were working together. One who shapes the future. Kakashi was in the middle of the training grounds, reading his book, giggling perversely every now and again. He then closed his book and turned to see Naruto. Well, if it isn't our blonde knucklehead. Naruto smirked. That was in the past Kakashi, let me show you what I can do when I'm serious. He held his finger in front of him, a seal made out of his chakra coming into existence. Kakashi's eyes widened. Hado number 4. By Akurai. A thin bolt of white lightning shot from the seal, and Kakashi jumped out the way. Sealing techniques. You really are in Uzumaki. Kakashi put his book away, he couldn't take it easy against this foe. Naruto made some hand seals. Futen. Tatapa. A blast of wind shot forward, but Kakashi was quick to make hand seals of his own. Oten. Dorakeki. He shot mud from his mouth, no idea how, and it rose into a wall. The wall was torn to pieces from the Futen, but Kakashi was fine. I smiled. You will have to do better than that. Naruto smirked. Now. Kakashi's eye widened, and he turned around to see Sayuko running through hand seals. Katen Kakak no Jutsu. She shot from her mouth a very large fireball, and Kakashi was forced to dodge, causing the fireball to head for Naruto. Naruto, on the other hand, smirked and made a single hand seal. Futen. Kamiarashi. He held out his palm and a blast of wind shot from it in a cyclone way, and when it made contact with the fireball, they combined to make a fire vortex that turned and went for Kakashi. Kakashi's eye widened. It can't be. He quickly ran through hand seals, but even he wasn't fast enough. Naruto smirked. Too late. Kimryoku. Taika no Yuzu. Kakashi cursed as the vortex hit him head-on, and he was blasted back into a tree, panting. Sayuko ran forward, hoping to grab the bells, but the alarm rang. Damn it. Sayuko screamed. Kakashi looked at them. Kimryoku. And so young Kakashi I smiled. Sorry, but time is up. So you fail. Naruto and Sayuko groaned as they knew what it meant. One who shapes the future. Sasuke and Sakura were tied to the stumps, while Sayuko and Naruto sat by them, annoyed. It was a decent effort, Kakashi said. Naruto shook his head. Not good enough. I'm sorry I let you down. Sayuko looked at him. It's fine we tried. Kakashi I smiled. I have some news. Only Sayuko and Naruto have to go back to the academy. Sasuke was about to protest on his sister's behalf, and Sayuko was going to argue she and Naruto had done really well, but they were cut off by what Kakashi said next. Sasuke, you and Sakura are being dropped from the program. The Banshee and Uchiha heir looked at Kakashi with wide eyes. What do you think these exams are about? Why do you think we put you in teams of 3? Sasuke and Sakura looked confused, but everyone was shocked to hear Naruto give the answer. Teamwork, he sighed. The goal was teamwork. Kakashi nodded. Sasuke, you tried to fight me alone, not wanting anyone's help. Sakura, you ran off to look for Sasuke when Sayuko tried to offer help. Only Sayuko and Naruto figured it out and worked together. If all of you had worked together, you may have gotten the bells. Naruto nodded. This was a practice scenario. Kakashi represented a powerful enemy, the bells were the information. The only reason there were 3 was to drive us apart. Once again, Kakashi nodded. Being a shinobi isn't fun in games. It is a career and a single second could cost you your life. Kakashi put a kunai to Sasuke's throat. Sakura. Kill Naruto or Sasuke dies. Sakura flinched and everyone noticed her made a very distinguishable gesture to her kunai holster, even though she was tied up. Kakashi took the kunai away from Sasuke. That's what it means to be in a difficult information. Choosing the mission or your friends. Kakashi walked over to the memorial stone. Some of my best friends and comrades died because of situations like this, that's why they are on this stone. Naruto sighed. He got up and walked over to stand beside Kakashi. My mother and father, he began, catching everyone's attention. They died for me, they died so that I could be given a chance at life. Their names are also on this stone. A few tears fell. And it is only by living that I can honor their sacrifice. He ran his fingers over a particular name, which Kakashi read. Kushina. Kakashi looked at the blonde with sympathy before turning to the rest. Oh, and Kakashi-sensei? Naruto said before Kakashi could speak. Yes, Naruto. Naruto grinned as he walked over to the others and pulled 3 familiar bells out his pouch. Kakashi's visible eye widened and looked to where the bells were, only for them to quiver and vanish. Gain jutsu. But when did you? Naruto smiled. Right at the start. Flashback. No jutsu. Naruto immediately charged at the Jonin, throwing a kunai. The Jonin moved his head and Naruto threw a punch. Kakashi blocked it. Then in that instant, he placed a seal on Kakashi. Quickly activating it for a brief instant, he grabbed the bells and stuffed them into his shuriken pouch, then deactivated it. Kakashi then grabbed Naruto's arm and captured him in a lock. Now, I didn't even say start yet. Flashback. No jutsu, Kai. You did it that early on? Kakashi was shocked. Then why did you have me team up with you? Sayuko yelled. Naruto smiled. I needed Kakashi to think he had won and for the alarm to go. There was no rule saying he couldn't take the bells back, and the idea was teamwork, and I did it on my own. Kakashi looked at the blonde before sighing. Well, Naruto, who will you give the bells to? Naruto looked at the 3 before putting a bell on Sasuke and Sakura's heads. I'll give a bell to these 2, he walked to Sayuko. And I'll share a bell with Sayuko. Sayuko blushed when her first name was used. Kakashi raised an eyebrow. You never said we couldn't share a bell. Kakashi I smiled. Very well, Naruto. As of this moment we are Team 7. Sayuko and Sakura cheered, Sasuke smirked, and Naruto threw Sasuke and Sakura a glare, along with Kakashi. I wouldn't be so happy, you Uchiha brat and pink-haired banshee. Sasuke and Sakura looked at Kakashi. If it weren't for Naruto, you wouldn't have passed, so you're lucky, but if you ever endanger this team, I will have you stripped of your rank on the spot, clear? Sakura nodded vigorously and Sasuke just went tch. Kakashi cut the bonds that Sasuke and Sakura had. Meet here tomorrow at 7 AM for training. With that, their sensei left with a shushin. Hey Sasuke-kun. Sakura yelled. Do you want? No, Sasuke replied before walking away. Sakura frowned and 2 walked away. Thanks, Sayuko said quickly. Naruto smiled. No prob. He began to walk away. Sayuko said, causing Naruto to turn back. Wanna get some ramen to celebrate? We could train after. Naruto smiled. Sure, Sayuko. She blushed. When are we on a first name basis? Since now, he laughed. He walked past her. You coming, Sayuko? She nodded. Yeah, I am, Naruto. The end. So how was this part? I hope you like it. And if you like it, share this part with your friends and like the video too. And don't forget to subscribe our channel for daily awesome fanfiction. Okay, it's time for me to go. Bye bye.